I was pretty much the normal 16-year-old type of kid. I was into working on cars and hanging out with people and all the normal things that come along with high school. My car was my dream at the time. I had gotten a 1990 Mustang GT and I restored it with my dad. And it was the best thing at the time.
He redid it from top to bottom, painted it, you know, everything. Did a nice job on it too. Mike's he's different than his other two brothers, but he's a very good kid, a very easy kid. Very nervous about his grades. He has to have A's or B's or he's not doing well.
Well, I had walked into school, normal routine and everything. I go into my 4th hour government class after lunch, and I remember sitting in my seat. I talked to the girl that was next to me, and just completely normal, just same thing that I had done every day. And I just remember starting to get really, really tired, and I was just, why am I so tired? I thought maybe sometimes I get tired after lunch, maybe that was what was happening. But it was just like an overwhelming type of tired sensation. I was so tired I couldn't even hold my body up in my seat.
One of the dispatchers at Beverly Hills put it over the police radio, stating that there was a medical emergency at Groves High School, and it was located in a classroom on the north side of the building. I thought this would be something simple. Get this person treated, get him on a stretcher, and get him to the hospital, and everything will be okay. When I walked into this room that day, I knew this was going to be a different day. I walked up to Michael, and I could tell things weren't going well. His eyes were partially open, sweating a little bit from the head, and breathing very shallow. I leaned down beside him. I kept saying, Mike, you okay? You okay? Mike, talk to me. And wasn't getting any response whatsoever. I called on the radio to the other cars that were coming. I said, guys, step it up. We got a serious medical here. And right when I turned back to look at Michael, he stopped breathing.
Everything felt so much better, and I was so energized, and it was just, how do I go from being tired to energized? And then I look down at my body and I just see this dead kid just laying there. I was kind of like from above, like an aerial kind of perspective. Somebody ran to go get a defibrillator from the hall, and just, you could feel like the rush of the people going by. And at this point, I'm still in disbelief of what's happening. It's kind of like, am I dreaming? Just wake me up.
I was doing chest compressions, thinking, man, I can't believe I'm doing a CPR on a 16-year-old in a high school classroom. The AED kicked on and told us to stand clear, and it delivered a shock to him. There's no breathing, no pulse. We continued CPR.
What's going on in my head is just pretty much nothing to do with that scene. And I remember getting kind of bored with it and going into the hall. I noticed the light pretty much from when I stepped into the hall. You could feel like the warmth from it, and I never felt like warmth from light, and the only thing I can like pretty much compare it to is like a street light in the middle of winter when you feel the warmth from underneath it. Just knowing that everything else around you is peaceful but cold, but just knowing to go right towards that one spot.
We shocked him another time there before the ambulance got there also, but still the same response. We had no pulse, no breathing, so we'd continue CPR. I thought I was doing CPR on just on a body at that present moment. This kid has moved on, and he's not going to survive this incident.
I'm not 100% sure if I'm walking or floating, but I know that I was traveling down this hall, and I was looking in all the classrooms. For some reason, all the classrooms were empty. And I thought that was so strange. And I kept going, and I finally came to a point at the end of the hallway where I saw a staircase and a beautiful door at the top. And you just knew that everybody that you used to know was behind that door. And I knew that my grandpa was there and all these relatives that I've never met. It's overwhelming sensation of just knowing that everyone who's ever touched your life and everyone who you've never even met is there, and they're there for you. What I believe was behind that door was a heaven type of place. It was an amazing place. I saw a woman on the stairs, and she looked young and happy, and I remember her hair was kind of curled, and I just knew it was my grandma.
We're not at the early stages of CPR anymore. We're way into this. We're 15, 20 minutes into this CPR with no response whatsoever. We were running out of options at that point, and it was time to move him on to the hospital.
Growing up, my relationship with my grandma was really good. She was definitely my best friend. She took my hand, and it's kind of strange to say because I don't know if I was a ghost or whatever, but she shows me of like segments of my life, highlights of my life. I remember seeing myself opening gifts up on Christmas Eve and just that complete joyfulness and eagerness. She used to wrap each present so perfectly. It was like they were definitely going to get torn apart. What was the point? But she made everything perfect for everyone.
It was the vice principal on the phone, and she had said there had been an incident at school and that they had performed CPR on Mike and that they were going to transfer him to the hospital. We jumped in the car right away, and I remember just screaming at his dad and my husband, yelling, "Oh my God, is he alive? My baby, is he alive?"
I grabbed the radio off one of the other officers' uniforms, and I told dispatch, I said, "Hey, can you get cars to block intersections for us? We're going to be transporting the 16-year-old to the hospital. He's not breathing." And at that moment, it just hit me that, hey, we got a station full of officers in that upstairs learning CPR. And all those officers ran down and grabbed every car they possibly could and started shutting down the roads. It was like Michael was the president that day. All the roads were closed for him, and it was the quickest ride to the hospital in the world.
Mike's dad was there at the ambulance doors when Mike had come through. There was an officer on top of Mike performing CPR, and the ambulance driver was holding Mike's hand, yelling, "Hang on, Mike, hang on, Mike."
We just continued CPR on him in the ER. The doctor come in, and nurses came in and continued to assist us with CPR.
My grandmother told me that I had a choice, and it was either stay there with her in this heaven-type kind of place, or going back to my body. But going back to my body was going to be tough, and she let me know that. But she told me that I had a lot of stuff that I hadn't have done yet that I was supposed to do. It felt like somebody just kind of tugging you and putting weight on you at the same time. Like just being pulled back into my body, like from the back of my shirt, just tugging kind of sensation.
The way they described it to me is that it would cool him down, and then when they slowly warm him back up again, and hopefully if there was going to be any brain damage or anything, that this would stop it. The hardest part of the whole ordeal, I think, was seeing Mike with all those tubes in him. They had no idea what happened. They didn't know how he was going to react to everything. We didn't know if he was going to live or die.
I remember opening my eyes and then I shut them again. And I opened them back up later and the scene had not changed. And it was just, what's going on? Was that a dream?
He didn't remember the high school that he was at. He didn't remember driving. He didn't remember anything. He wouldn't believe us that his grandmother was dead.
The year was 2005, and I thought that the year was 2002, so I'm lost like 3 years in memory. I think it's significant because that's the year that my grandma had died.
I believe she was with him. I really do. I think she is his guardian angel. He came home on the 23rd, and we actually went out and got a Christmas tree. Mike and I went out to English Gardens, bought a Christmas tree, and brought it home because it was time to celebrate that he was home.
This experience has changed me in so many ways. I used to be the kind of guy that wanted everything brand new. I thought it was so cool to drive a Mustang and be the one driving up into school with the cool car. I don't really care about that anymore. What I care about now is pretty much everything that you can't really buy.
I think he sees the world differently. I think he lives each day to the fullest because he might not be here tomorrow. Even though I would check every night to make sure he's breathing. Don't tell him that.
A lot of these questions people search a lifetime trying to figure out the answer to. And a lot of them for me were answered when I was 16 years old. And it has completely changed my life in so many positive ways.
Mike with all those tubes in him. They had no idea what happened. They didn't know how he was going to react to everything. We didn't know if he was going to live or die.
I remember opening my eyes and then I shut them again. And I opened them back up later and the scene had not changed. And it was just, what's going on? Was that a dream?
He didn't remember the high school that he was at. He didn't remember driving. He didn't remember anything. He wouldn't believe us that his grandmother was dead.
The year was 2000.